I'm so excited to show you how to create a stunning snowflake necklace using polymer clay. We'll be using an easy yet gorgeous icy faux stone technique with cool blues, whites, and sparkles, perfect for the winter season. Let's dive in and create a necklace that's both simple to make and captures the magic of winter. We'll begin by tinting our translucent polymer clay with alcohol ink. I have 30 grams of clay divided into 2 equal 15-gram pieces. I'm using my gloves to blend the alcohol ink into the clay. This helps it dry a bit faster before fully mixing it in. I'm already in love with these colors. Here are the 2 colors after mixing. Now I'm going to grab some white acrylic paint. Using a wide brush, I'll coat one side of each of the clay sheets. Now I'm going to go ahead and let this dry thoroughly. With the paint now dry, I'm going to flip the sheets over and get ready for one of my favorite parts, the holographic glitter. I'll sprinkle a little glitter onto each clay sheet. Whoops, a bit more than expected. That's okay, I love sparkle. The more the merrier, right? Using my gloves again, I'll spread the glitter over the surface until each piece is evenly coated. Now I'm going to lift one clay sheet from my work surface and stack it on top of the other sheet. I'll use my acrylic rod to roll the 2 layers together, thinning them out just a bit. I have to confess, I got a little mesmerized by the gorgeous glitter. It's okay if a little paint comes off during the lifting process. Now let's start rolling the clay into a jelly roll. This technique is very organic, so there's no need to cut a bevel at the end before rolling. Imperfections are part of its charm. As I reduce, I'll stop to squeeze the ends of the jelly roll and occasionally roll them on my work surface. Now I'm going to fold about 1.5 inches of clay back upon itself. Then I'm going to take that folded piece and fold it in the opposite direction, forming somewhat of an S shape. Then I'm going to take the long piece of my clay and fold it so that it's laying on top of the folded S shape we just made. Once that's in place, I'll form another S shape, after which I will step up and repeat the process until I've ran out of the length of my clay. Now I'm going to shape this into a block. First I'll use my palms, then switch to an acrylic sheet that I like to use to get nice square edges. I'm going to shift the clay a bit. I'll push in on the corners and flatten them to create a new flat surface. I'll do this on both sides. Once again, I'll use my acrylic sheet to shape the clay into a uniform rectangle. And here's the finished block. It looks so pretty with the cool blues and sparkles. I'll let it rest for a bit before slicing into it. With the clay rested, I'm going to take a small slice off the ends for a cleanup cut. Just look at that. I love the depth this technique adds to the clay. Now I'm going to cut the block of clay into 4 equal slices, doing my best to keep them as even as possible. Next, take the sliced pieces of clay and lay them down on your work surface, arranging them so the cut faces are facing upwards. Then take your acrylic rod and roll the pieces to a thinner thickness, one that will fit through the thickest setting of your pasta machine. I don't think the camera fully captures how beautiful this is. It almost feels like I'm looking into a glacier. I just love it. Now I'm going to roll this through the pasta machine on the thickest setting. Here it is after I rolled it through a setting number 3. Today I'm going to be using my Rock Rose 1.5-inch snowflake cutter. I'm also going to be using my 1-inch snowflake cutter. And lastly, I'll be using my 3/4-inch snowflake cutter. Along with these cutters, I'll be using my beaded Comfort Grip stamping handle with a 1.5-inch frosted snowflake stamp. We designed this stamp because I experienced a lot of pain when stamping polymer clay after surgery earlier this year, and this handle has been a game changer. I can finally stamp without pain, and I'm absolutely in love with this product. All the cutters and stamps I use in this tutorial are available for sale at rockroseclay.com. I'll start by finding a visually appealing spot on the clay slab and cut down, giving the cutter a little wiggle. Keeping the cutter in place, I'll grab my stamp and handle, slide it through the cutter, and press firmly to make the imprint. Then I'll lift the stamp, followed by the cutter. Because our necklace has 3 of these snowflake focals, I'll repeat 2 more times before moving on to the next size snowflakes. And finally, I'll use my 3/4-inch snowflake cutter to cut out 8 snowflakes from the slab. This will give you enough for the necklace and several extras if you want to make a matching pair of earrings. Now we can remove the scraps from the cutouts and transfer the snowflakes to a sheet of cardstock in preparation for curing. Isn't that cute? The imprint turned out perfect and didn't require much pressure at all. I'm going to pop these in the oven at 275 degrees Fahrenheit for 60 minutes. Once they're done, I'll give the edges a quick sand and bring you back. Now that our pieces are baked and out of the oven and I've sanded the edges, I'm going to infill the snowflake imprint on the surface of the clay. I'll be using white acrylic paint for this. Using a round paintbrush with a taper, I'm going to start filling in the debossed snowflakes. I chose white because with this design, I want the snowflake imprint to be visible without overpowering the beauty of the faux icy stone technique we created. I'm going to repeat this process with the other 2 focal snowflakes, and we'll bring you back when we're ready to resin. Okay, I've got my favorite UV resin, a paint palette tray, and a flat-tipped paintbrush. I found that using a brush to apply resin to debossed pieces of clay helps maintain the texture of the imprint, which is exactly what I want to do in this case. As always, I wipe the surface of my clay pieces with a paper towel sprayed with rubbing alcohol before applying the resin. This removes any dust or residue. I also make sure that I wear my respirator, gloves, and work in a well-ventilated area when handling resin. Now that our debossed pieces are coated with resin, I'm going to apply resin to the other snowflakes using the drip method. Once all pieces have been evenly coated, I'll pass a lighter over them to remove any air bubbles from the resin. Remember to always exercise caution when using a flame to pop air bubbles in resin. Next, I'll place the pieces under my UV lamp for about 30 minutes, or until they're fully cured. Once cured, I'll flip them over and apply resin to the opposite side. We now have both sides resined, and the pieces look absolutely gorgeous. To avoid any confusion during the drilling process, I'm going to mark the drilling spots on the necklace while it's laid out in the arrangement I want for the finished piece. I'll use a Sharpie to mark the drilling spots, and after drilling, I'll simply wipe away any remaining marks with rubbing alcohol. Using a number 55 drill bit, carefully align your piece and drill the hole. To protect the back surface of my jewelry when it's resined on both sides, I like to use a cork coaster. With this hole complete, I'll move on to drilling the rest of my pieces. All the pieces are drilled, and now it's time to assemble the necklace. I have 9 8mm jump rings, 3 6mm jump rings, and 2 4mm jump rings, as well as a lobster clasp. I will also be using a 2mm cable chain that I have cut 4 6-inch segments of for the necklace. To start, I'll use my pliers to gently twist open an 8mm jump ring. Remember, never pull the ends of the jump ring apart. I'll slide the jump ring through the drilled hole in our first snowflake focal and attach the Y-link connector snowflake to it as well. Next, I'll work my way up one side of the Y in the necklace, connecting the components as I go before moving on to the other side. Here's the main body of the necklace. How cute is this looking? Now I'll attach the chains using the 6mm jump rings. 2 chains will go on each side, adding extra sparkle and giving the metal components a bit more substance. Using the same technique as before, I'll open a 6mm jump ring and attach the chains. Attaching these small chains can be a bit tricky, but the end result is absolutely worth the effort. With the chains now assembled onto the necklace, I'll finish it off by attaching the clasp. And here it is, our finished piece. I hope you enjoyed making this icy snowflake necklace with me. I can't wait to see your creations, so don't forget to share them on social media and tag Rock Rose Clay. For a more detailed guide, check out the full tutorial on my blog and feel free to use this technique to create earrings, bracelets, or other accessories. All the cutters and stamps I used are available at rockroseclay.com, and you'll find links to them in the description box below. Thank you so much for spending a little bit of your time with me today. Wishing you and your family a wonderful holiday season. I'll see you next time.